Start from the top down. Categories gives us our organization. So the first thing we should think about is our categories, and that's going to let us know how we're going to present our products and make them easily accessible to our customers. So that should be our first step. The pile of stuff we rent is the pile of stuff we rent, but how we organize it is how we determine how easy or hard it is going to be for our customers to find things. So if we can quickly identify our categories and build those out, it'll behoove us when we start building out our product list because, again, we can put those into the categories they go into. We can cross-bleed categories or cross-pollinate products into categories. So if we've got products that seem like they could fit into multiple categories, they can certainly go into multiple categories. There's a couple of things we can do with our categories besides just build them. So if we've got a list built like we do here in the demo, we can reorder that list, which will change the order of the appearance of these categories in the All Rentals page, where they're going to see links for all the categories. So we're in some control over how our category links are going to appear on our All Rentals page. Otherwise, the standard sort of setup is going to be alphabetical order. Many times that's fine, but again, if we want to make our All Rentals page as accessible and usable as possible, we'll probably want to put the most important stuff at the top, so it's the easiest for our customers to find, and then the less important stuff down below that, so they can shop that way. We'll go ahead and leave it standard for now. So we can filter our list based on active or inactive. So active and inactive work very similar to the way we were discussing on the category page. We can turn off or deactivate any category we want, and that will make it inaccessible site-wide. It won't show up on the website. It won't be available for use in the back end for manual orders or anything like that. We can also turn off show on website, so we can have a hidden category for back-end office use that doesn't have any links on the website. It's not going to show up in the All Rentals page or anywhere else, but we can place items into that hidden category, like I said, that would be useful for back-end purposes. Occasionally, case-by-case scenario, we have need to add line items to an invoice that aren't specifically products, but we need those to add, monies that we need to charge to the customer. I've got somebody I'm working with now, actually, that focuses mostly on large events, tables, chairs, weddings, large gatherings, things like that. And depending on the size of the order, depending on the delivery location, they may charge more than their standard delivery fee. In other words, there may be a setup fee for if they're bringing out 50 tables and 200 chairs and serving tables and bars and stools. If it's a very large order, there's a setup fee that they want to attach. And that needs to be sort of calculated based on the order. So there really isn't a way to sort of have that automated. That's something they need to work with the client on. Once the client requests the equipment, they start to figure out what that's going to cost to set up. And so they can have hidden items that are in that hidden category that are useful to quickly add that dollar amount to take care of setup for that type of situation. So that's one use for hidden categories. There's probably many other uses that could be used or thought of, but that's probably the primary for day-to-day business. So we get back to the category at large. Our system does do parent-children categories. So if we want to have a parent category that might be tables, and within that category are subcategories that might be children's tables, dinner tables, serving tables, so on and so forth. We can absolutely do that right out of the gate with the system. We can build the parent that would be called tables, and then we can select what children categories would associate with that. I guess we can take a quick peek-see real quick on how that might look in use case. So we'll go over to a site in development, and we'll look at what subcategories look like. So for the customer using a website that has subcategories, we're still going to build the navigation that goes straight to the main categories. So the parent category being tables, and then all of the children categories will fall below it. For navigation for our customers, if they're using this system, they can go straight to the categories that they want to go to and shop accordingly. But for organizational purposes, so there aren't a bunch of duplicate looking and confusing categories on one page, we can go into our All Rentals page, and now we see all of our parent parent categories. And again, we can hop into tables, and then we can see all of our children categories. And now we could go into our bars or our dining tables or our children's tables or serving or so on and so forth. And we can shop in a more segmented fashion where we're just looking at the things that need to be looked at. All right, so that's parent versus primary category, how that works. Ultimately, if we're creating a new category, which I guess we could just look at a new one together, if it's just going to be our Bounce House category, we would call it our Bounce House category. The system will automatically generate a slug. A slug is everything after sort of the main domain of your website. For our software's purposes, it's always going to put products or categories to help organize where these pages exist within the system. But after that, we're going to have our slug, which is going to mirror what we type for the name. It's exposed for you because you might want to add keywords in there for SEO purposes. Something like this might be a very nice SEO-friendly slug that's going to let folks know that this is our Bounce House category. It is a rentals service, and it is located in the Kansas City, Missouri area. So that is one thing we can do with our slugs. We've also got our meta information exposed for you to use so that you can write a page title and a page description for your pages, for your categories and items. As part of our build-out process, we have a professional format that we use for meta information. We will be writing meta titles for all of your main pages. That's your home page, that's your entire customer service section, and that's all of your categories. And we will write a description as well. And again, that's for your home page, all of your customer service pages, contact us, about us, frequently asked questions, so on and so forth. And we will write those out. These are very useful for you to take advantage of on your item level. 9 out of 10 times, somebody's going to go to Google, type Bounce House Rental, Bounce House Rental Company, Bounce Houses near me, something to that effect. And 9 out of 10 times, Google's going to find our homepage first and say, okay, this is a Bounce House Rental Company. It's going to show our homepage, which is why we do the homepage and all the primary pages. Because if Google doesn't decide to show our homepage, the next likely candidate that they'll show will be the category Bounce House if they're looking for bounce houses. The title, the page title for any of your pages is going to be the actual clickable link or clickable heading on your organic search result. So by writing a nice SEO title, we're directly messaging to our customer the link that they see in that Google search result. Down below that clickable link or clickable heading is a short description that goes in that organic search section on Google. And so by having a nice, professionally written descriptive description, we are doing our best to entice our customer to click our link instead of the next link down or the next link down below that, or so on and so forth. So the more specific a search a customer does, the higher the chance that Google might even serve up one of our item pages, which is why I say it'd be very beneficial to have a project in mind to do the items for your item pages, so that when they show, they have some form of proper marketing in front of the customer. If we leave these sections blank, Google will grab the most basic information they can get from the site. So the page name will be the page title. And as you can see, it's very bland. It doesn't say a whole lot if we just wrote Bounce House or Bounce House is. And we can put a little bit more information that will be more useful to the customer. We can put something like Bounce House Rentals. We can say that our name is spiderwebdevelopment.com. We could say we are in the USA. In use case for you, it would be your website name and it would be your actual area of service. And again, not only is this directly messaging to the customer on a Google search, but we're directly messaging to the Google search robots when they look at our website a bit of information about what we offer, who we are, and where we're offering what we offer. And then we would do the same in the description, a nice short description that explains a little bit about what's on offer from our website, and then a little bit about us, and then a little bit about the service area that we cover is the type of information that should be in those sections. So we have thumbnail and banner image. The thumbnail is going to be a thumbnail on our All Rentals page. Our All Rentals page, where it lists out all of our categories, is going to show thumbnail images, and we can put that here, and that will show on that page. As part of our primary build, we're going to put some thumbnails here that are representative of the categories that you have. But you do have access to plop in your own thumbnails anytime you see fit, just by taking advantage of this section here. So the next one down is our banner image. I like to point out I am torn on banner images. So I think, yeah, we have some installed. These are by request. My logic is this banner takes up too much space and it puts our products way down low. I'm on a large monitor here and I can't even see the products if I've come to this category page where I want to see products. I see this nice banner. It's beautiful. I can't click it. I can't do anything with it. It features a couple of units, which is fine, but I can't really shop it. And number one key to an e-commerce site is shoppability. So if we don't have one of those banners, we see our products higher up on that page. More importantly, our customers see our products higher up on that page, which keeps them in the shopping mode. The last thing we want to do is interrupt their shopping mode by taking products out of view. So that's my thought, but we can put banners there, or you can make your own banners if you do your own graphics art, or if you have a graphics artist in-house, they would be plopped in here, and that would be a banner at the top of your page. We can write a short description for our category pages as well. I say short for exactly the same logic. The more we write here, the larger this section gets, and the further down our products get pushed. So a sentence or two should do. It should be a little bit about the products on offer on this page, a little bit about who we are, and then a little bit about where we offer what we offer. And that should be it. We don't need to get too wordy here. This isn't a section to put rules or red flags. This is a section to put a little SEO value, but mostly keep our customer shopping experience in play. That's our description. We went over our control buttons. We can disable it from the website if it's a back-end category for back-end office use, or we can disable it altogether. Use case for disabling a category altogether might be a seasonal category like Christmas or Halloween items that we don't necessarily need showing in June. So we might not want to delete the entire category because we've already got thumbnails in place and we've got cool SEO information. All the stuff we just talked over, we've worked on. We've got a nice description we're happy with. We don't want to delete the page, but we don't want it to show up in July. So we could disable it and re-enable it when we get closer to Halloween if that is, again, a seasonal type category. We might also have a category with just a few items in it, and they're all out for maintenance, repair, or we're waiting on replacements. That might be another reason to turn a category off until, again, we've had repairs, replacements, or other logistics done with units that might be in that category. So that is our categories. Pretty simple. Once we build them, they populate into our list here. We can edit them at any time we want. So if we want to hop in and change our thumbnail, here's one that's built out, so we can see our thumbnail here. We could push our trash can button and get rid of it if we had made a new thumbnail for it. Same with the banner. We've got a trash can button if we wanted to toss it out and we had made a new one. You can see here another form of pre-written of our sort of style of SEO, if you will, and then some gobbledygook for a description down here. So short and sweet, number one key, number one name to the game for descriptions on categories. Keep it short. Don't eat your real estate up with stuff that nobody's going to read but a robot. There are other places on the website we can put SEO data for the robot to happily chew on where it's not in the way of the shoppability of our customers. All right, so that was categories. We can hop over to products. So right off of the top, similarly to our clients page, we've got recently viewed products. So if we're in the off season or even in the initial setups of our PRS site and we are actively working on our inventory, our most recently viewed products will be listed up here. So if we want to hop back into a specific product to make edits or continue making changes, we should be able to find stuff easy up here. We've also got a search bar. So if we would like to look to it for a product based on its name or SKU, we can do that directly from our search bar. A cool thing that PRS does, I guess the other ones do this too, but I just like the interface. We've got this drop down. We can select a category, and that will filter our list based on all the items that are attached to that category. It's a nice quick way to look at a category, see what we've got in there, and then we can work on that category, whether we're doing price adjustments, whether we've got new inventory we want to add, or new quantities of existing inventory that we want to update. Again, we can quickly sort of filter by that category and just start processing through one category at a time through our store. So it's a very nice way to just look at, like I say, a very small piece of our inventory if we're going to work on it in that way. If we had looked at one of these categories and we now wanted to go back to our main list, we can just hit the drop down and hit view all, and that will open it back up to all of our inventory. So we've got featured, active, and inactive as sort of types or settings for our categories. Active and inactive are very similar to categories that we just looked at or clients before that. We can deactivate a client with a button that will take it out of use. It won't be available on the website. It won't show up inside of the category it's attached to. It won't be available for manual input on orders. It will just be completely deactivated. So that would be very useful for an item, an inventory item that's out for repairs or maintenance for an extended period of time. We don't want to delete it, but we do want it to disappear for a while so nobody looks at it. We can just deactivate it. Active would be if we have, a fairly large store and we've got several things inactive, we've got several things active, and we just want to look at our active inventory, we could filter by that. We've also got a featured button on the inside of our item page, we'll see in a second. And if we've got any of those turned on, we can filter by those featured items. So again, it's just a way of segmenting our products to make inventory management as easy as possible. So we can go ahead and build out a product together so we can all see what it looks like to build out a product. I just need to get to a product. All right, cool. I've got one we can do. All right, so we're going to hit add new product. So the first thing we need to do is give it a name. So we can call it Cornhole because that's what we're going to set up. Again, same thing as we saw on our categories. Our slug is exposed for our items. So if we wanted to write a slug that was a little more SEO friendly or just a little bit more descriptive about the item on offer, we can adjust our slug. I guess I didn't point this out when we were looking at categories, but we do want to be careful here. I think you know this, Mr. Juan, and if Abby doesn't know, you can teach the tour. But we don't want to put too many strange characters in here. In fact, oh, that's really awesome. Remind me to compliment Walter. It won't let you put special characters in here.
Okay.
So you actually can't break it. You can put a dash, you can do an underscore, but you can't put a colon in here. You can't put an exclamation mark in here. So that's actually a really good safety net that the team put in place. Awesome.
Awesome.
All right, so slug is exposed. We can play with that for SEO or other purposes if we want. Here's our category selector. So this is Cornhole. This should go into our games. I've got an extreme attractions category. I think it would fit nicely in there. I don't have a games category, so I can't put it in there. This would be a good one to discuss cross-pollination, though. Cornhole is a sort of, a game, but it could go in our party extras page as well. If we had games and or attractions and or carnival games as categories, it might be placed in any or all of those. Any item that we want placed in multiple categories, you can see there's some instructions right here above the selector. If we're on a Windows machine, we'll hold the control key. If we're on an alien Macintosh or Apple computer, we would hold the command key. And then we can select as many categories as we would like to associate this item with. And it will then populate in those categories. We're going to want to give our item an image so folks know what they're looking at, what they're considering. We have it set to a max of 5 images, but it does do multiple images. So if we've got several images of the item in question, we can load those in. I would assume we could expand that out beyond 5 if we needed to. We've set it to 5. Typically, that covers all angles or views of an item we would want. And it just limits any of us from loading too much in and making a page take 4 years to load. So 5's been pretty sufficient for everybody so far. but I would assume if necessary, we could open that up. But we can just drag and drop straight from our computer into there if we like, or we can click and it will open us up a load dialog if we would like to find it that way on our computer. But we can drag in our cornhole so that we've got an image of our cornhole. We've got it in our category. As I said, you can create a new category from here. If you've gotten to item creation and you forgot a category, there is a create a new category system right here. I would suggest doing it from the category section and focusing on your categories first. You will have a much more organized store if you think about it from that organizational level first, and then build your products and put them in the categories that you've already sort of, predetermined that they make sense to go inside of. But again, if we get here and we absolutely need to toss a category into existence, we can. The system uses SKUs for organization at the server level. Makes no sense, no mind or no nonsense for you, the user, but it requires a SKU. So if you have in-house SKUs that you use, you can type anything in here that you want, and that will be your SKU. So again, if you have your own naming or SKUing, you can put that in. If you don't and you don't care, it offers auto-generate, and it will just make some gobbledygook up, and it will use that as part of its organization, in the back end of the software. And hey, maybe it convinces you to start using SKUs, and again, it gives you something to use. It can be useful for organizing the warehouse, so it's something to consider if you're not using SKUs. As you grow, you're going to get more and more, bits and bops and inflatables and pieces, and having numbers and can help us keep track of where things are at. So that's our SKU system. Like I say, it is required. So if you're building inventory and you don't use it, at least you'll have to hit that auto generate button. We can tell the system how many we have of this thing. If we have more of this thing than one, we can tell it how many we have. We've got our pricing system. So if we're pretty simple about how we do business and we have just the same rental period for everybody, it's 4 hours, it's 8 hours, it's all day. We'll get into setting up our rules for rentals when we get to the settings screen. But if we're very simple, it's one price and we're good to go. We can set our price and folks can rent it for that period. If we're offering any kind of bumps, whether it be extra hours or extra days, weekend rentals, so on and so forth, we can build out a price tier system. So we might be doing it by the day, and we might be doing a slight discount as we go up. So we could do 24 hours. I don't know if I'm doing the right bumps, but anyhow, so for day number one, under this type of setup, the first 24 hours will cost $69.99 for this unit. After 24 hours or above 24 hours, so in other words, for day two, it will jump up to $89. And then for 48 hours, it would jump up to $129 or whatever numbers we set. I will point out that the price for each bump should be the total price. So if we charge, $69.70 for a base rental, we charge $35 on top of that, or whatever our extra day fee is. This needs to be the grand total, the $35 for day two, as well as the $69 for day one, or again, so on and so forth. So whatever our math is, we work out together and we kind of get an understanding of how we build these prices. But if we did hourly rentals, if our base rental was 8 hours, then we might say after 8 hours, our price bump happens, and after 12 hours, our price bump happens. We can do it that way as well if we're doing more of an hourly based breakdown. So the system's capable of building whatever tiers are going to make sense for our uses. Main description for the item. We want to, keep feature benefit type writing in place here. Again, we don't want to be too wordy. We don't want to take up a bunch of real estate. We don't want to put all these words that nobody's going to read. We want to keep it down to what's important to the customer being mom and dad or Susie Corporate, who's planning an event for the boss. And they just want to know the basics, right? What's the key takeaways from this item? What does it do? We play cornhole, right? This one's real simple. We play cornhole. You throw beanbags, they go in the hole or they don't. If it goes in the hole, you win. If it doesn't, you lose. But keep it simple. Keep it down to basics. Special notes is going to show up on the front side of the website. This is any special information that might need to be noted about this item. Again, case by case, I typically say we don't want too many red flags when we're in the early stages of shopping. So this isn't where we put rules. This isn't where we put things that are going to turn a starting shopper off. This is where we put sort of special information. We may have specialty units that are only available on request, so we might note that in here. There may be options available to a unit that we don't have set up as clickable options. They're listed as written options, so that might be another use for this. But special note is just a second box we can use to put information on the item page, separate from the description. As it says, it's special information. So we just want to be careful. We don't want to put red flags, but anything special that's needed to know, we could put there. And then we've got our unit information, our actual setup area, our actual size, does it require power, and does it require supervision? We can also put what we paid for each of our inventory items, and the system will help us keep track of how quickly they're paying for themselves. They're paying themselves off through rentals. So we can put our purchase price if we like. And then again, SEO, meta tag information at the product's level. So as I say, we will be doing your homepage, we will be doing your category pages, we will be doing your customer service pages. We offer to do your items that will be over and above your initial setup, and we can get a quote on that if you'd be interested. Or we'd be more than happy during setup of your account to teach you best practices for setting these up, and you can absolutely do it yourself. You've got access to do them. And we would not mind training you to do so at all. So either's an option for you. You can do it yourself with our training, without our training, or you can ask us to do it. We're available. All right, so now for these settings and controls that we have on our items. There's something we can do for each item. Again, every item we create and every item in our inventory has these settings. So we have the ability to be very fine in how our items work. So if we have items that shouldn't show up on the website, we've got a button right here, show on website. We turn that off. This item will no longer be displayed inside of the category it's attached to or anywhere else on the website. So it would be another way of setting an item for back-end use. We might want it to show on the website, but we don't want folks adding it to the cart and ordering it. This is a call and request only item, so we can disable online ordering. A customer will still see it on the category page for the categories or categories it's attached to, and they will still be able to visit the item page itself. It will just say, instead of add to cart, it will say call for information, and that customer can call and inquire about that item. We have the ability to activate or deactivate coupons on the item level. So we may use coupon codes to entice customers to order from us, offer them certain percentage or amount off. And again, we can do that from the settings section. We can set up coupons and have those usable on the site. But we may have premium items that shouldn't allow discounts, and we can disable the coupon on that item, and that coupon will not apply any discount to this item. So that's what we can do there. Here's that featured product button we were talking about. This is a button that we can use to then filter on our previous all items list based on what's added to features. Initially, Walter, well, and I think with the old versions of the website, when we turn this on, it gets added to a featured section on the homepage. That isn't working. That isn't working with our current build out. The way that we're building the site, so this will do nothing on the front side of the website in terms of featuring a product, but that might be food for thought for you, Mr. Juan, if you can somehow trigger onto this button for a featured section on the new WordPress module when that comes out. That might be a cool way for customers to be able to have control on something, that goes somewhere on the homepage. So that's something to remember that exists. And then we've got our buffer period. So this is a period that buffers when the unit becomes available. So we may have units that no matter what, every time they come back, they get some form of maintenance, some form of cleaning, or some other form of processing before they should be available again. And so we can set that period in here. Say it's 12 hours. Every time a unit comes out, there's 12 hours it needs to sit out and dry. It's a water slide unit or another wet unit, and every time it comes in, we let it dry before it comes out again. We set this buffer period here, and now every time this comes off of a rental, it will not be available on the website until that 12 hours has passed. And again, we can set that anywhere between a couple of hours all the way to several weeks. So we could even use this for items that need more intensive maintenance or repairs after use, and that would give us a couple weeks leeway. I guess if we needed longer than that, we would just disable the button, and that's what this status button does here. We can turn it off. We're not deleting the item, so again, all the work we've done in setting up our pricing tiers and our description and finding good images will still exist in the system. But by turning it off, it will not be on the website. It will not be available for online ordering. It will not be available for manual ordering in the back end as well. It will be deactivated. So that would be a way to turn off an item for long term, whether again, as we were waiting for a replacement or any other reasons that we would want to turn an item off. Okay, so I'm going to close. Well, no, we'll go ahead and save this item. We set up a pretty cool item here. Honestly, we'll keep it in our inventory. It's a cornhole. We'll turn off tiered pricing. I'll go ahead and save it. It should let me. And then we can go back into it. So the item page will change a little bit after we save it and go back into it the first time. So everything we already saw will still be there. If we only found one image when we were making it, but we found more images later, or we took more images later, we have access to drop more images in. When we go into edit mode, we can change anything we've already set up. We can add it into more categories if we want to. We can change our slug again if we want to. We can even adjust our SKU, so on and so forth. Everything is editable. Nothing sort of gets locked into place. If we want to change our settings, we want to disable coupons after the fact, we certainly can. We've decided this isn't a website item or it's not an online order item. We can edit everything that we could at completion after the fact. But we now get this new box down here. You might recall this wasn't here a moment ago. And this is where we adjust our related products, our add-ons, and our options, as well as our delivery sheet. When we were on order screen, I mentioned that we can list out instructions for packing up a specific item, right? So this is cornhole. It may well be that we have a stack of cornholes in the warehouse, and therefore we have an entire bin of sandbags, and they don't all stay together. The bin of sandbags is over there on the left by the water cooler, and the stack of, the actual cornhole boxes is over there by the back wall. And so we could note that down here in our delivery sheet, in our locations. We can write out, sandbags by the water cooler, cornhole boxes by the back of the shop, right? However, we might have our shelves in our warehouse labeled by numbers or letters or some other classification, so we could put, again, where they're at based on that information. However we organize our warehouse and shop, we can easily note where the pieces, bits, and bops for a specific item are here on the item level, and then when we print our packing lists for orders that include this item, all that information will be on that packing list. So maybe we've got a new guy we're training, he's going to get a sheet that tells him everything he needs to grab to successfully set a cornhole up for a customer's event. And then any other instructions, we've got a second box here. This box also goes onto the delivery sheet. So this could be a list of everything that needs to be grabbed for this unit, any other special instructions, make sure you get the rules page that we include with all of our games, or so on and so forth. We can put instructions there, and that will go on the order sheet. So we just have a little bit more control over what directions are printed out when we're processing our orders. Related products, we can hop over to the website to see in use in real time. And so that would create this section down here, related products. We can relate anything we want to the item as a, hey, you might also be interested in, right? That's the idea of this section of the website. The customers landed on Mickey and Friends. They're considering Mickey and Friends, checking out the price, reading our description. They might want to scroll down and see the other pictures of Mickey and friends, and then they're instantly going to see related products and go, oh, the Mickey or the birthday bouncer is really cool too. Or, oh, you know what? We did want cotton candy at the party. Look, they've got a cute little cotton candy machine available, so on and so forth. So we can offer things to our customers as they shop to help, just keep things in their mindful eye as they're shopping that they might want to also. And so we build that list out pretty easy. For each item, we can build out specifically what we want to relate and what we're basically wanting to suggest to our customer. We can click here. It allows us access to our categories. And we can click the item or items that we would like to add. And we start to build out our related list products. We might want to suggest some categories or some concessions. Might want to say, you should consider some of our games. So have you seen our games? So on and so forth. And we're quickly building out a nice list of suggested add-ons or additions to their rentals. The other two sections here offer some more extended functionality. So we've got product options. We've got product add-ons. You may have noticed on the previous page where we access our products and our categories, there was two tabs called add-ons and options. That's where we build out these. So the idea is any of our add-ons or options that we're having for our products, we can build those once and apply them to as many items as they're relevant to. A good use case might be something like water slides versus dry slides. Lots of our customers offer their slides in both wet and dry formats. Same thing with the combo bouncers I see is very common, being available in wet and dry. So we could build an option selector that is wet or dry, like this. And so when the customer selects the unit that has that option added to it, it will ask them, would you like to use it wet or dry? And then we have control over if that costs extra money. So in the option I have built here, it's $50 extra if you want to use it wet. So if they were selecting that and they said it's going to be dry, it won't affect the price at all. If they're selecting that and they're going to use it wet, it would adjust it $50 up if we did it this way. Could be zero both. We just want to know if they're using it wet or dry. So it's more of an information gathering tool. We can build it that way as well. We can use this to build out options like we saw on the snow cone machine earlier, where we were able to pick flavors. So we can build out options that are both bullet point selectors like we saw, or we could build out options that are drop downs like we saw below that, or we can build them out with little thumbnail images of what's being optioned. That's actually very useful for things like modular bouncers, which I have one of those built as well. And so that would offer a list of modular banners that would be attachable to the modular bounce house. And that would be, again, if you have multiple units that accept something like the modular banners, we can build out our list of banners once with any price adjustments that we want, and then add that to all the units that they're accessible or useful to as easy as this. So both of these sections offer similar usability in terms of what we can do. Add-ons or options are both useful for building optional selections at time of checkout.